Mrs. Rivera and Principal, I'm going to say Christy, and Bill and PFA and everyone for letting me talk. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sarah Schubert. I'm a parent of 4 kids, and my oldest is a graduate last year, and he is at freshman at college. I have 2 more boys, a junior and a freshman, so some of you know Jeremy, and a daughter in 7th grade. My husband and I are both graduates from a class I won't mention, in the last century, and I am the proud chair of the Dome Committee. So hopefully you've all heard of the Dome Committee by now, and the Dome and what it is, and if not, there's a table back there with some materials. Hopefully you received a mailer from us in the mail. So the Dome is going to be the future planetarium. There's a planetarium upstairs on the 3rd floor here with the in the science wing. And that was built with the high school when it came to this property in 1971. So the history of it is a long time. It's 51 years that the planetarium has been there, and it's been 2 electives a year, I think. Is astronomy a full year, or it's semesters, right? So 2 classes are taught for astronomy every year, and there are graduates that come out of the school that didn't even know astronomy was an option. They didn't get in there. So it hits about 50 to 75 students a year. I was one of the fortunate ones that got to take it when I was here, so I knew about the planetarium. I had a love of the night sky. I was not a great science student, so that was my favorite science class of all time. And it opened up a universe beyond the classroom textbooks. So I also, going back into 6th grade, I walked up South Ave and Center School, St. Aloysius, during that 6th grade curriculum when we all learned about the solar system, when Pluto was a planet. We all got to come into this planetarium. So it's here, it's an amazing resource, it's been a phenomenal asset, but technology has changed in 51 years, as we all know, and it has not been able to keep up with the times because of the technology was built differently. So it is no longer supported with materials to fix it or with the knowledge, human knowledge of how to fix it, and it doesn't work. The buttons don't all work when it's time. So it is needing repair, and so we were tasked, there's a group of parent volunteers that have come together to help raise some funds to help repair it and to bring it up to speed and into our century. So the town, the district would love this to happen. We're doing this on behalf of the New Canaan Public School System. The town has made a contribution towards the overall $850,000 that it's going to take. The town has committed $350,000 to this, so that is the public partnership that we have, and now the private partnership is us raising the rest of the funds. So it is a phenomenal resource. We have always had an amazing district that has the teachers are here, we have the curriculum, we have the students and the capability. So what makes us excellent above the rest of the schools around us is the next level that we go to. So do we need a stadium to win? Do we need Dunning to be Dunning? No, we don't. But does it add that extra layer, and does it give us the championship feel? Does it give us the excellence? Yes. Academically, this is an extra. It is not a necessity, but it is the next level of academic excellence that we would like to bring to New Canaan Public Schools to continue on that forefront. This is the future of education. We are stepping outside of a traditional classroom. You can enter the Dome, and up to 60 students in beautiful reclining seats with digital technology, and you'll have a virtual reality experience. It is the future of education. We need to meet our children where they're at. They're all far advanced on the technology front than we are. We replace our phones very regularly. Our technology on our computers goes, our GPS. This will be all digital. It will be capable to endless amounts of resources to be able to educate our kids. Plus, they'll be able to make their own content and share it with one another in a total new learning. So I'm going to show you a short video that will give you a better picture of it, because I can only say so much to make you picture it. But on our website, we have, is this going to scroll up, Zach? Oh, there we go. I've never used this. I'm not getting it to move properly. Zach. It won't move. Am I not? Help me, Christy. Sorry, I'm using 2 fingers. Is it not a 2-finger scroll?
It should go. It should be.
It won't roll up. Thank you. So this is a better visual of what it will look like and what it can be. Thanks, Zach. Exactly.
We need improvements.
So it is on our website. Start it over. There's some buffering. It doesn't. See if I can. All right. It's literally a minute video, so I don't know if it's just not loading right. All right. Yeah, we'll try it later. Do you want to? All right, sorry about that. So hopefully you've been seeing it, but if not, it's on the website. We have a phenomenal website. The team of committee members is so amazing and phenomenal. There's been a lot of time, talent, and efforts and energy for this on behalf of not just our children, but for all of the children in K-12. And this will be accessible for preschoolers. I don't know if any of you have children that went to toddler time and already have been in the planetarium, but toddler time has been visiting the planetarium. Before COVID, they would come annually as well, and Staying Put has come in. So the dome can take you to anywhere. It can show you the depths of the ocean. It can show you tectonic plates moving. It can show you the Egyptian pyramids. It can take you up to Saturn's rings. It can show live launches. So you can go inside that space, and your children will see a live launch. It is endless and limitless, and it will be amazing. So we just need some help to get it here, and there are various opportunities to be able to contribute toward this, and we just launched at, hopefully around Thanksgiving, you received a mailer, a Be a Star campaign. So this is a way of gifting your child or your family or friends or teachers, honoring them with a star. So there's different levels and different ways to be a part of this. Leaving a lasting legacy for your family and your child that has gone through this system is a gift to not only them now and the future students, it is a gift to the entire district and community. So I thank you very much for, I don't know, Zach, did you want to add anything on the digital side? Zach is the amazing, I'm calling him director of the Dome. I'm not sure what his official title will be, but he's amazing.
The video should work.
Oh, it should work. Beautiful. All right, let's see. It better be good now.
Famous last words. Yeah.
Why is it not? Okay. Is that, no, it's not. Mine you touch. Okay. Okay, so I'm obviously looking out, seeing a lot of you have already made donations, so I appreciate it, and I greatly thank you on behalf of the committee and the district for helping out. If anybody has questions or would like to be a part of it, this is definitely everyone coming together. Is a lot of breadcrumbs that will build this, and it is a gift that we'd be giving the district, the kids, and the whole community. So hopefully you can get involved. If anyone has questions, we'll be in the back. I don't want to take up too much time. Is there anything, Zach, you want to add?
Just moving forward, this is what we have right now is a hardware solution, and we're moving toward a software solution. I mean, basically, this is just two projectors blended together on a curved surface, but this will be something that can, will last forever and is only limited by, what we want to do with it and the content that's available. Evans and Sutherland, the company that we're working with, is constantly upgrading their software and making new links and stuff. There are planetariums all over the world that use them, and they have a great network that we can pull from. So it's really just limited by the people who use it, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. That was one thing that we've been asked is how does this not fall into just, obviously, 51 years worth? Is it going to just fall into neglect or disrepair? There are upgrades now that can be done. So our phones get upgraded. You have to just upgrade, and that can happen because it's digital. So then we're planning on, there's going to be an endowment in place at the New Canaan Community Foundation, who we've partnered with, that we plan on having funds in there to help with the care and keeping going forward. So it is an investment. It is an asset that we have in this district that we should revitalize and give to our children. So thank you so much for the time. I so appreciate it. Take care.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the New Canaan High School's 9th grade parent networking event titled Midterm Prep, Make a Plan, Don't Cram. I'm Lori McLaughlin, and this is Jane Benton, and we are your 9th grade networking chairs. We are thrilled today to have with us our 9th grade principal, Christy Carrero, our school counseling department chair, Cynthia Rivera, as well as we will be having a panel of our very own NCHS teachers. They'll be here to share some valuable tips on how your child can successfully navigate midterms and how you can support them at home.
And I just wanted to mention that we are videotaping this session. If you have a friend or want to revisit it, it'll be up on the PFA website probably within about a week. So take it away. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. That was really interesting, the dome thing. I'm so excited for that. Yes, so your kids are going to be taking midterm exams this year. It's the first time we're actually giving them since before COVID. We did give final exams last year just to get the kids used to taking exams again in a formalized setting. And so this year we are going to go back to some of our old traditions of giving exams in the way we used to, with a lot of modifications. I think we used to, I know we used to count them for 20% of the grade, and it was so significant to their semester grade that it caused a lot of stress. Now that it can't be worth more than 10% of the grade, which really makes a big difference in how kids consider this and how you should consider this as we move forward. So we're going to have different department chairs speak, but I'm going to just start with more the general way of how you can help in the classroom. I probably should have my notes a little bit. More at home, what you can possibly do to help your children as they get ready for this. Because the teachers are all going to begin to talk about preparation, and they'll be here today to talk about what they need to do and how they get them ready in the classroom for all of this. We'll go over the whole schedule of exams and what we're doing with that as well. So that's all coming up. So stay tuned. But for now, we really also worry about the mental health of the kids and how to manage this. And really the first message is don't put too much pressure on yourself. It is stressful. We can't take the stress away. It's good stress. They need to get used to these kinds of things as they move on to college and things. So we are getting them ready for it. But you can hold a really positive attitude. If your child is someone who is saying, I'm going to fail, I can't do this, I don't know how, blah, 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 you just have to say, yes, you can do this. It's what you just taking these few weeks out of your life. Life will go back to normal after this. It's just one piece at a time. You will get this, and you will do it. It's very important to stay in the present with them. Don't let them spin in terms of saying, but what if, but what if, but what if. Nope, we're worrying about today and this test. Then we're working tomorrow about that test. You're going to help them stay calm about that and just say, you can do it. It's fine. We talk about healthy anxiety because we know during exam time there's anxious moments, but that's normal. That's nothing to, you're not going to fix that for them. It's just you're saying, yep, it's normal. You are going to feel stressed about this. Yep, this is life. That's okay. It'll be fine. But if you name it like that and say, yes, it's a stressful time, now let's get to work, that helps rather than allowing them to spin. It's like you just say, don't, just move forward with this. And you can name it as a normal feeling, and that will make them feel better. We always suggest making a plan. Create a calendar. You'll see in our schedule, there are 2 exams per day. There will be, so you'll see that there's going to be preparation for the first 4 exams, a review day. You'll have 4 exams. Then after the holiday weekend, you'll have another review day that you won't have that. The kids will have another review day for the last 4 exams, and then have their last 4 exams. So there's plenty of time within the exam week that they will have to continue to work on the next exam coming up. We'll talk, we talk a lot about looking at that calendar. Back yourself up. Look at the plan. What do you have? How long does it take for you to rewrite notes, or what do you need to do to study? Okay, that's going to take 4 hours. Where are we putting in 4 hours for you to do that work? You can help them make that plan for each exam that they're going to have. You can sit, like if they're good at, they want to be in a study group with other kids, well, how long is that going to take and where is that going to take place? Make that calendar for them so they can see where everything is going to work out. And we talk about that efficient studying. The counselors were in all the health classes talking to our freshmen about how they learned best. So they took a learning styles inventory where they found out whether they were more of a visual learner, an auditory learner, kinesthetic learner, and what does that mean for studying? So we talked to them about, like, if you're an auditory learner, maybe you do well studying with someone else or having your parents quiz you in an auditory fashion out loud. If you're a visual learner, that means, you are better at perhaps studying alone and reading and writing. It really broke it down to even that, I think the sun is bothering, if anyone knows how to drop those things. They're all looking to get out of the sun. This is what I have Mr. Egan here for, so. I lost my train of thought. So all those kinds of things, we talked to them about how to study differently based on their learning styles. So then we've been in working with them in their freshman appointments, talking about it again. What did you find out about yourself? What does that mean differently for studying differently? To just give them some ideas. It broke it down even to the point if you like a structured setting versus a casual setting for studying. So we told them, well, that means you sitting at a desk is what you need to do versus sitting on your bed and studying. So this learning styles kind of broke it down in that way for them, in a very different way than saying, my teacher doesn't teach the right way for my learning style. So this was not about that at all. So tips for the home: remain calm, keep your same routines, don't change things. They do need breaks. They can't study for 6 hours a day. Certainly allow for breaks and other things that have to happen in their life. Make sure they sleep. Make sure they eat, especially breakfast in the morning. I know the PFA provides snacks and things during that day. Cafeteria is open, things like that. So we really ask that you keep that. Please don't make big plans for Martin Luther King weekend that takes them away from studying. It'll just stress them out. It's not a good time for a ski weekend. These kids need to have the routines during that time and really work on what's important to them. And then finally, just keep it in perspective. This is first semester of freshman year. It's not going to impact their lives if they do poorly on a midterm exam. And a lot of freshmen do worse that first time out. They're not used to it. But you'll see that the kids actually end up saying it's a nice break from their routine, the exam week. They're home at 12:30. It's a shorter day. They only come in for when they have an exam. So it ends up being a break between first and second semester, so it's not too terrible. So, okay. Say, who's up first? Mr. Remley is here from the English department to talk to you about what English is doing.
Hi, good morning, everyone. All right, so I can keep this hopefully short and relatively painless. How many of you are ninth grade parents? Okay, that's what I figured. So I can tell you exactly what's going to happen for the English exam. So it's going to be we're going to administer a benchmark, an internal benchmark. It's a reading, writing response. So it's actually not going to count in their quarter or their semester grade because we administer the same benchmark for it to work to all classes. And if we counted it in the grade, it would encourage, I think, probably a lot of cheating and bad behavior. So we're just not going to do it. So the way that's going to work is that'll be administered during the exam period, and it won't be scored. We have to score it as a team, and it's going to take a little while for us to coordinate. It won't be scored probably until about a week or so later. So your child's grade will be quarter one and quarter two, and I think it'll be 50-50 each. So that's kind of how it affects you guys. We will report the benchmark scores and how to interpret them probably within about 2 weeks. We've got to get the whole team together and double score them. It's a bit of a process because it's a short story and then 2 open essays. So it just takes a little time, but you'll get that sort of feedback. And it's really helpful for us as we kind of design our reading program. We can kind of diagnose that across other data points, specifically SBAC data, some other internal stuff related to our state accountability test, which is the SAT, and whether students are kind of progressing the way we would like them to, if certain students need support. So I would encourage them to do their best. It's actually very important for us in terms of understanding how our reading program is functioning, and also if students need help with reading, like more one-on-one coaching, that sort of thing. And also will kind of help us plan the trajectory of some of these things like later on. And ultimately for these benchmarks, whether we need to revise them or adjust them, it's always kind of a continual process of figuring things out. So a lot of this stuff doesn't apply to you guys. Some of the later on, this whole they're skill-based, non-cumulative. Later on, we will have exams that count that are kind of a similar format, but that won't be till like junior year with AP Lang and AP Lit, where we administer kind of like shortened AP exams. And it's actually a very similar format. They're generally like passages, short stories, poems, things like that, and then an open response. Yeah. Yes, they will be. Yeah, and I actually put the note in because I was like, it's going to be mostly ninth grade parents in there, so I thought I would just put that in for you, like. And then this will be communicated, but hopefully I told you guys, and I just said to make sure, like, once the exam is presentation of research, so that's not going to be happening. That was last year's. And then in terms of study guide, it's going to be a reading kind of skill-focused, non-cumulative exam. So the big thing they can do is get a good night's sleep, eat their Wheaties in the morning, and do their best. All right?
Can I just ask, will parents be notified of the results of this? How will they know what's going on?
Yes, it's going to be by courier pigeon. No, we're going to do it. We'll place it in Power School, and we'll put a little bit, the exam, just for your information, it's a 1 through 12 score. So the way it works is a double score. So I will score 1 through 6, and another scorer will score it 1 through 6. That way we're trying to kind of create like some objectivity on the scoring strands, and then we combine those. And the goal score is an 8, so an 8 out of 12. So if your student, if they're below that, there may be some reasons why, and that's something we'll kind of try to understand. Sometimes they just had a bad day. It's not necessarily indicative of anything like super troubling, but sometimes maybe it means there's some gaps in understanding in the way they're approaching this. The other piece with this exam, there is the writing component because it's an open writing response. So sometimes we see that when we look closely at, they understood their comprehension on the reading side was strong, but their writing piece may be a little bit, I don't know, I want to say deficient, but they may be struggling to articulate their understanding. And there are some supports that we have at the high school with our reading specialists, with our writing center program that can help those things. So it really does help us kind of scale these things. And we used to do this in March, but by kind of pushing it, thank you to Principal Egan for letting us do it here, by pushing it to earlier in the year, it actually helps us kind of get the ball rolling on some of these things. Whereas like March, we were really kind of like hustling to get these things done and understand like and how to move forward with it. So, and if the scoring guy will be there, try not, if they do poorly, you can always reach out to your child's teacher and just say, hey, can I get some perspective? Are you concerned? And they may say, oh, no, not really. I talked to him about it. It was just this small thing. So it does happen. Sometimes kids just do poorly on an exam. It's kind of why you guys are here. And it's not necessarily indicative of like a deeper problem with their reading. But you can always ask for that clarity if you're concerned.
But it's also a really good part for counselors to know in case we are encouraging some extra support. And we may be in touch with you to say, perhaps we need to add a reading center or writing center, or even now in second semester, we may do that, which is nice to have this a little bit earlier that we could jump in, right? Correct,
yes.
Okay.
Sorry, so a question out there? Yes, sir. Yeah, is the writing handwritten or typed? It's going to be, I think we're going to type it. There's virtues and drawbacks in it. So the way they set it up is we've been doing this one for a number of years now, and we're trying to like decide whether we want to revise it. So we decided to stick with what we've been doing because then we kind of have a more apples to apples comparison to previous years. So that they do handwritten annotations on the story. So they've got a physical copy of the story, handwritten annotations, and then they're type the response in. It speeds it up. It makes it a lot easier for the scorers and then the students and things. And a lot of the AP kind of looking down the pipeline, the AP is going to go all digital. So you're going to be typing responses and things like that. So we felt like that was just a little more aligned to where the winds were blowing. Yes?
Do you feel pretty confident that all the teachers are prepping the students equally? And if one group, one class scores lower than the rest, would be an adjustment or something like that? What are your thoughts?
Oh, do we use this then? It's hard to say, like just on a snapshot like that. I mean, to go to your original question, do I feel confident? I feel pretty confident. Yeah, I think so. But yes, and sometimes this does flesh out like, oh, there are some problems, but it's, each class has a unique composition too. So sometimes these things need to be taken in context as well. All right, thanks. Well, good luck. Sorry, no skiing on MLK weekend. I'm gonna go. No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
Fine, you go. Kevin. This is Kemen Holly. She's, what is your title? Okay, it's 812.
I got a really long title. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm the K-12 Director of World Languages and English Language Learners. And I'm sure it's been said already, but really, the teachers would be mad at me, the team of world language teachers, if I didn't tell you all a big gratias in Latin, gracias, merci, and sheshani for being here this morning. It means so much to us. So in terms of world language, what do our assessments look like? Well, the important thing to know about the world language discipline is, we might think about our traditional experiences when we were younger and learning languages, and perhaps you all were asked to, fill in a blank with a verb or, things like that. But now things are different in our discipline, particularly with the introduction of the seal of biliteracy. So our goal in world language is for all of our students to become biliterate, at least biliterate, although I will say we're fortunate to have many polyglots in our community. So what do I mean by biliteracy? Well, we have various assessment measures. The APPLE, the ALIRA. The APPLE is for French, Spanish, and Mandarin. The ALIRA is the assessment for Latin. and the AP is for all of them. And either one of those assessment measures, if you get a certain score, so for example, for the Apple and the Alira, it would be an I3, an intermediate, mid I3, or higher in each of the 4 areas of the language. Speaking, listening, reading, and writing, then you qualify for the seal of biliteracy. And all you have to do is take your 4 English classes and graduate by the end of the year, or the AP assessment, where you have to score a 3 or higher. So our students, we make sure that we do our due diligence to prepare our students for those assessments. The key thing about those assessments is that they're performance-based assessments. And what does that mean? They're guided by our standards. So our standards are the ACTFL standards. That's the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. So you may have heard the Common Core for ELA and math, the NGSS for science, or C3 for social studies. Our standards are the ACTFL standards. And they really drive everything that we do, in that we are preparing our students to communicate interpretively, that is through reading and listening comprehension, interpersonally, whether we're writing to each other or speaking to each other, and presentationally, whether it's giving an oral presentation or a written presentation. So all of our assessments, believe it or not, starting in middle school, because the World Language Team does a fabulous job collaborating with each other, we prepare them little by little for these experiences. So our end of unit assessments, what our 9th graders will be encountering, are no different. They are performance-based in that they will have an oral component, an interpretive component, and a presentational component. And our world language teachers, they're multilingual themselves, so they know what it's like to be language learners. And without going into the theory of language acquisition, we really care about 2 things. Number 1 is that affective filter. We want to make sure that we're lowering that affective filter in everyone's brains. So what does that mean? When we're anxious, when we're stressed, that affective filter shoots up, and it's very hard for any learning to go in or any learning to go out, and I might freeze during a test, right? So what we do is we provide study guides. We have great relationships with our students. We know our nervous Nellies, so we're, proactive with them, like, Kevin, I think you should make a little appointment with me during RAM time. You know what, let's make it right now together so that we could go over some concepts that you might be nervous about. In terms of how you could support at home, perhaps you could ask, what are you feeling confident about for, your Mandarin test? Oh, what worries you? Okay, so if that worries you, why don't you go talk to Dr. Holly, make a little, or you know what, even better, let's write an email to Dr. Holly together. It's all about being proactive to lower that affective filter, right? Because I always compare this also as well to what a surgeon experiences. We don't want, we know our surgeons aren't the night before a surgery going, I wonder what I'm operating on. I'm not sure if it's a foot, a hand. It shouldn't be a surprise. So that's why we share study guides, we share the context, their end of unit assessments. So they've been working on this context, whatever it is, for about a month or so. So they're very familiar with it. And we've practiced these skills of reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Once again, it's all in preparation to an 11th grade or 12th grade to earn that seal of biliteracy. And yeah, that's pretty much it for world language. And thank you for being a wonderful audience.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Any questions on that? We're going to jump ahead to science because Mr. Leduc just left his class to do their own thing, I think, for a few minutes while he came here. I'm sure it's all good, right?
It's very structured. There's a teacher in there. Don't worry. Everything will be okay. But we'll jump ahead.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you, guys. I'm Michael Leduc. I'm the chair of the science department. For science, there are really no surprises here. Students will be taking a test that is similar in format and structure to what they've done all year. So all of our courses are designed with the next generation science standards in mind, meaning we're practicing and helping students to develop the skills that scientists will be using. So those are the science and engineering practices. The disciplinary core ideas, that's the key content that we think about when we think about what science is. And then the cross-cutting concepts, or the ways of thinking and connecting ideas within science. So those are going to be emphasized on our assessment as well, as they have been all year. So the test is, for all students, 10% of their semester grade. Now, we know that this is students' first midterm, the first summative science exam that spans many months. And as such, we've structured it so that every student can find levels of success on this exam. We know that's the first time that they've done this. We have questions set up so that everyone can succeed in different areas. And teachers are going to spend a lot of time helping students to prepare. Now, the format for all 4 of the different freshman courses, whether it's biology, honors biology, geophysical science, or honors geophysical science, all 4 of those courses have a combination of multiple choice and short answer questions, as they've had throughout the year. Teachers have their Schoology pages organized with resources for students that includes slideshows, labs, study guides, all sorts of review materials. Teachers will give more in-depth study guides after winter break. So we definitely want students to take that time to unwind over the break, enjoy their families, not stress about studying, because they've been preparing for this all year. A little bit of cramming in December isn't going to be the make or break difference for what they're doing in the middle of January on the exam. So we definitely want students to take that time to be 15 and do everything that goes along with that. So teachers will also provide opportunities for students to look over old exams. This is a great chance for students to identify gaps in their knowledge. And how we're talking about this with students is working on identifying those gaps ahead of time so that you have time to prepare. Some of the techniques that we'll talk about with students are things like concept mapping and using the Feynman technique. These are ways of finding those gaps in knowledge and building your understanding in those areas. And again, encouraging students to study frequently in small chunks as opposed to staying up all night the night before. I think as Evan said, a good night's sleep is really important the night before, and we don't want students staying up all night studying. So those are the big ideas, but really there's no surprises for students. It's going to be similar in format and structure to what they've done all year. Any questions for me?
You mentioned that they're going to get to see previous midterms. Will they get to see the unit tests as well?
They'll get to see their previous unit tests, not previous midterms.
Okay. All right. So this is the first time that they're seeing it. Will they get to take it home, or do they get to see it in the classroom?
They'll get to see their unit tests in the classroom. Yeah.
For more than 5 minutes?
So
Will they get enough?
there will be structured time in class to look over it, but students are also encouraged, if they feel like they need more time, make an appointment with your teacher, go during RAM time, whatever. We have lots of structures in place, free period study halls, times that they can go see their teacher for one-on-one attention to look at the test as well. Yeah.
Some of this information that you said they will be given in guidance, when do they get it? Are they already getting it before the break, or is it after?
In terms of, sorry, what exactly?
Like the notes, study guide.
Oh, those are things they've had all year. So a lot of the, in Schoology, teachers are encouraged to organize by folder and have subfolders and all these different ways of organizing the material. That's been up all year. As teachers move into new units, more materials are uploaded. That's going to be there. In terms of the study guides for the exam itself, they'll get that after break. But individual unit study guides and concept sheets and things like that, they will have gotten throughout the year. Yeah.
Do the teachers make up their own exams, or is it one exam across all disciplines, like all on about one test?
All honors biology and any of our courses are going to have exams that are created by the team of teachers, and they're going to be almost exactly identical across teachers. There's going to be slight variation potentially based on some of the different ways that teachers might have approached things, but it's largely the same. Yeah. In the
The teachers make the final decision, right? Each individual teacher makes the final decision on that test.
within the context that it's largely similar as to the other teachers. Yeah.
Sometimes the makeup of the class has created, different opportunities for teachers to cover units in different ways. So, right?
Sure.
So there might be some variation because of that. So, but by and large, they're working as, all biology teachers work as a team to create these exams, so, in all, right, geophysical.
Yeah, I mean, the exams are based on the objectives that we've set forth for the team over the course of the semester, and so the exam's going to be the same in that it's testing the same things.
How do you, so, it's a very specific example. So my daughter just came home with their biology test results from last week. I think the highest score in that class was 85. So how does the teacher, I think they ended up getting a curve, upgraded to the higher score based on the curve compared to the rest of the grade. How does the curve work? They just move randomly, to a higher grade for?
No, and
with the rest of the.
I would say it's probably best to talk to individual teachers about that, but we don't.
You don't do the curve adjustment?
No, not typically. But that's something that you should. And I'll also check in with teachers about.
So the feedback was, the teacher was testing them more than what was given for the study guide. And it was just a tough test, I guess, maybe just this time around or something, just for her class specifically. It just, they weren't prepared for that test fully. And I don't know if it was.
Yeah, I certainly welcome a conversation about this. I think in this context, we'll talk about the midterm exam, but definitely I think you have my contact info and we can talk about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Mr. Doyle, who's representing the math department. Take your stuff.
Thanks, Michael.
There you are.
Thank you very much. Morning, everyone. Does everyone remember their first math midterm? It was good, wasn't it? Well, welcome. It is a pleasure to be here, and I am happy to represent a fine group of math teachers here. Math teachers work very closely together. We share many of the same values in regards to the success of students. And before even talking about numbers of where they are, developing a level of comfort. And once we develop that comfort in class and the material, they can build on their confidence. And I think you can all agree that with comfort and confidence, then you can be successful at anything you do. So in regards to how our classes are designed, similar to the conversation that was just being had with science, each group of teachers, geometry, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, whatever the case may be, they work closely together, they design the tests closely together, and really kind of follow through with these items that you see up here regarding to the class. The way I approach it, the way I say it, is a size up. So when we're talking about questions and the active listening, what is the essential question that's being asked of us? How long should this typically take me? And in good practice, about how many points would this question be worth? Because sometimes, and maybe you've had the experience, that we spent a lot of time on a question that was only worth 2 points and then didn't have enough time for a question that was worth 8 or 10 points. Some of the exams do have point values on there, so students will be able to see that. That kind of follows along with how their typical unit exams have been so far. So they should expect to see very similarities with their past assessments and translating to the midterm. I can tell you that it is no goal of any math teacher here or any teacher in the building to design a test that is the hardest test of the year. That's not the goal of anybody. While getting ready for the test, something that several teachers do is we kind of do a 1, 2, 3 system, where 1 is, I'm feeling really good about this, 2, I need a slight review, and 3, this is really, really hard. I definitely need to spend more time in this. So when we distribute our review packets, and all the classes will receive their review packets prior to the break, so it's optional if students wish to work on it, take a look at it. For my personal classes, I encourage people to do the 1, 2, 3. And so when we come back, let's attack the 3 questions first. Because I think we can all share that experience that when we were given a review or we were studying things, we did the easy ones first and saved the more challenging ones for the end. So encourage your students to try the hardest ones first, identify the hardest ones. Why are they the most challenging? Why are they the most time consuming? And kind of break down those factors. And I think that will help lower the anxiousness and be successful at that. Same items as said before, just that kind of physical presence as we prepare for an exam. I don't like to be surprised. I don't like to surprise anyone. The group of teachers I work with, they feel exactly the same. So the review packets for the different levels, if your student's in M2 versus an M4, should be consistent with what they expect on the test. The M2 will be very much the same, almost identical language for the directions, where the M4 level, there will be some variations to that. The general kind of structure of the objectives for those M4 classes. I had one more item to say. As they're preparing and studying, the worst question to ask is this right? Because the answer keys will be there, so they can check their answer. But why is it right? Is it the best method? Is there another way that we could consider that we didn't already consider? And is the best way the fastest way? And many times it's not. So those kind of conversations kind of help lower the anxiety and ultimately make them successful. Any questions for me? It's going to be 10% of the semester grade. I have a handout that I give students, and I've seen over the years a lot of students will, as naturally we all do, weigh heavy on this. And that a difference of 30 points, right? If I get a 90 versus a 60 on a midterm, it's only a 3-point change on the semester grade. So when you have that spread of 30 points, wow, that seems, really extraordinary. But the impact to the semester is very small. And that then brings the question of, well, why are we even doing this? My response, and many people in my department feel, you need the skill of taking a test like this. If you want to be a plumber, if you want to be a police officer, if you want to be a surgeon, if you want to be a lawyer, you got to take some high-stakes tests. And that ability, that skill to compose yourself, I think is an important one for us to practice. You're welcome. Sir?
How confident are you that the study guides include all the topics? In other words, if your student goes through the study guide as well, should he or she feel pretty confident that they haven't missed anything?
If we're only looking at that single study guide, I believe it is overwhelming. I have a study guide for one of my classes that's 18 pages long. All right, that seems quite overwhelming in itself. That in regards to, they can pick and choose where they need the most practice. So in some cases, I would say, yes, if you feel confident with the study guide, then you will feel confident with the test and not be surprised. I would not limit it to only that study guide. I would go back to past assessments, look where the successes were, look where the accidental errors possibly occur. Me personally, I know that I've lost thousands of points in my day due to a negative sign, and it might have just been a stray eraser mark. So just being kind of re-aware of those things is helpful in preparing. But to your original question, I would say the study guides are designed for this exam or class.
If I could just jump in, because I
Sure.
think sometimes this comes up, but it's not a mirror, so it's not like the questions aren't going to necessarily appear the exact same and just a change in numbers, but sometimes things can be asked differently, and sometimes kids are like, that wasn't on the study guide, and it just might be asked differently. So thinking about the holistic approach as opposed to like that one problem.
Best example would be in a geometry class where we're looking at congruent figures. The one in the study guide might include a quadratic, where we're solving for a variable and that means, where another would be a systems of equations, where the system was applied somewhere else in the study guide. So when you have those overlaps of concepts.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
So you're saying, so outside of the study guide, they could go back to look at the past assessments. Do they get their past assessments papers back?
In many classes, they do. If they haven't, then they may go to their teacher.
But not across the board, like some teacher give their paper back.
Most of the people in the department do. I think there might be individual circumstances if they held on to one. Me personally, I've held on to some, so that way I can give them back in preparation of the midterm, and that way people aren't possibly losing it prior to. So I would reach out to that individual teacher.
Yeah, I would say for all of these, it's a good time to go through Power School with your child and say, which assessments didn't you do well? Because those are the ones you're going to work on first. And really, look at that for every subject area. It would be key to identify, what went wrong in that particular assessment and what do you need to do now to talk with the teacher, or ask questions, or identify it as something to talk to your teacher about to get extra help with. All right?
I have one more thing, if
Go
I
ahead.
may. If you do a countdown, there's 16 school days, including today, until the start of midterms. Okay? And that sounds stressful, and that's why I bring it up. Okay? Because think about how much more new learning is left to be had. So there's 16 school days, essentially 8 days per class. So they have only just a few more days of new material, and then it's going to start to be review. Okay? So while that sounds very stressful, it at the same regard, I think, is somewhat settling to not be surprised. All right. Thank you. Be well.
He was going to go look for him, but we could go to the schedule and come back to that.
Sure.
Want to do that? Yeah.
So we're hoping to get Mr. Farcucci here for social studies. So we'll give him a little more time. So we'll jump to the schedule. So Cindy referenced this earlier, but what we're doing we did similar in the finals last year, but I know you're freshman parents, is we're going to have a day E, which is essentially periods 1 through 4, as a review day on the 11th, and then Thursday and Friday will be those exams. And then after that, on the Tuesday, it will be another review day, but for those periods 5 through 8. So what's really nice about that is the students can have a review on those first 4 and focus on those first 4 exams, then have another review before their 5 through 8 exams. So it kind of helps. Previously, there kind of been one review day, and then you might have an exam a couple weeks later. So it allows them to prioritize those first exams. Yeah.
Logistically, let's say a student only has one exam on Thursday the 12th.
Yes.
What do they do the rest of the day?
So they can leave. They can leave if they have, right? Yep, so the library's open and the cafeteria is open, so the buses will run on regular times, but they have access to the library to study, the cafeteria to study. If the teachers are available, they could make appointments. So they have availability to stay in the school and study or rest. Or we also will have wellness activities for students to enjoy. So in the past, and they're not set yet, but there's been meditation or yoga opportunities. There's the PFA is generous and supply snacks for the students. There's games. Sometimes the gym is open. So there's also some opportunities for students to take advantage of during the time too.
For those who don't know me, we totally, this is Billy, I'm Billy again, the principal. We redesigned the schedule to purposely meet student needs, trying to alleviate a little stress. We've actually decreased how much they count. Did you guys talk about that a little? All right. So all that was done to kind of reduce stress, but ideally too on these days, the buses run at normal time, meaning they get at the end of the day, 2:30. So generally, most kids will leave. However, if they need to stay, they can. But I just wanted to point that out, it's not even 12:30, it's the end of the day at 2:30. So
Right.
Ideally also, after exams are over, I don't think it's here, there is another day after exams are over where we'll have all classes meet, 1 through 8. We get out at 1:30. The idea is they review their exams to finish the semester, because some classes are semesterized, not really for freshmen, but they'll be out at 1:30 that day. Ideally, the same thing. Buses run at 2:30. There's an opportunity for students if they need to have a makeup exam on that last day even, there'll be an opportunity for that on the makeup day. So
So if students don't have, so say they don't have a period 1 or 2, or it's a class that doesn't have an exam, they do not need to come to school. They can, but they don't need to. Same as if they have a second exam and not a first exam on the day, they can come at the time of the exam. If they do take the bus in the morning, again, the same spaces will be open to them, cafeteria and library, if they want to come in and help prepare. Yeah.
Cafeteria is not open for lunch, correct?
They serve food throughout, right, Bill?
I think they serve something.
Yeah,
but
they
it's
have-
not, but not a full-on.
Not a full lunch.
We're always running down there to see what they have, and it's usually like leftover egg sandwich from the morning or something, so.
Sure.
Like Honors Bio has like a lab and a full class, how do they know which day they take that test?
They'll go on their full block period, but the teachers will review that too. But if their like class is period 2 and then their lab is period 4, they would go to period 2. Yes.
When does the new learning segment stop, or do they just transition starting midterm?
I mean, it will vary within classes, but typically, most new learning will typically probably end like the first week of when they come back in January, if it even continues till then. So each class will run a little bit differently in the subject. But teachers should already be having those conversations with their students, so I would encourage you to have, your children raise that question to their teachers as well, so they have a concrete answer. Yeah.
How do parents find out when the study guides are available?
So the study guides will typically be posted on Schoology, so you could ask, your child to kind of view their Schoology page, and you could help, have them communicate with their teachers too if they're not, if they haven't been given one and you feel like they have. So like as math said, they'll get it prior to, the holiday break. Science will have it when they return. Sure.
How do study groups get formed? Is that something the students do, or is that something?
It's something the students do, yeah, with their friends.
Yes.
Normal athletics running while this is going on.
Yes.
The practice times may change, but yes, there's athletics through this midterm week. Yes.
Sorry, I was just curious, so when it says exam 1, exam 2, so like for my freshman, is there somewhere I can see what exam 1 is, what exam 2 is specific to his schedule?
Yes, so whatever he has period 1, like wherever it's 1.1, 1.2 on his schedule, that's exam 1. Good question, yeah.
Might be a stupid question, but what years actually do is freshman,
All
junior?
all 4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Friday, exam review, what, they get the test back that day, or what?
Yeah, so that there's a special schedule on that Friday. That's what Principal Egan was referring to before. So all classes will meet in a shortened amount of time. So it gives the opportunities for students to look over their exams in those classes. It also is a time to for the first semester to culminate. So they can meet with their teachers if there's any, final things for that class. So it gives them a final day in that first semester. That ends at 1:30. Buses will still run at 2:30. Yes. Right, so they'll meet that day, but they may not be able to review their benchmark because it's likely it's not going to be marked yet. Very good questions. Yes. 20th. So there is a schedule with the exact times and dates that will be put in the weekly update and emailed out to everybody. Yes, it was. Best news in town, the weekly update. Any other questions on the schedule? So I see Mr. Forcucci's come. So want to come talk about preparation for social studies?
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Fercucci, Social Studies Department Chair. For our exam for freshmen, we are going to continue to build on the skills that we've been working on for the whole semester, which is really reading and writing for evidence. We've increasingly worked away from just giving them a ton of content to memorize and try and regurgitate on an exam. So we put together an in-class essay, basically. They'll be writing an essay having to do with larger themes of the semester. So in terms of preparation, the idea is they're going to get the actual essay prompt ahead of time so that they can know exactly what they should look for in their notes. They can go back to the textbook. Hopefully they're very clear on the content expectations. And really, since this is an in-class essay, it's not necessarily that they have to know certain things. It's, do they know something? Can they speak intelligently to some aspect of the content, some aspect of the themes we've talked about? The skill which we're increasingly working on, and which they'll also be assessed on, is that their essay is based on primary source documents. They'll get a collection of sources on the day of the exam, and their job will be to use those sources as evidence and then bring in their background knowledge that they used in the preparation process. This should be something that's familiar to them. This is something that we work on throughout the semester, and they'll have plenty of time in class to prepare and ask questions and do all of those things. So hopefully they can come in confident, and that the exam can be more of a demonstration of their abilities rather than a stressful ordeal for them to go through. As far as study guides and such, like I said, they're going to get the essay prompt in advance, so they'll have more than enough time to work through the content with the teacher's, guidance and help to make sure that they're all on the same page. And then they'll have the exam period to write their essay. And I think that is most of it. Are there questions? Yes, sir. Yeah, their teachers will be grading their exams. Yes, ma'am. There's no policy on that. Usually it's up to teachers' discretion. I think increasingly we prefer that they type it for obvious reasons. So I would imagine yes. And if there's any situation where a teacher's asking that they handwrite it, but a student prefers to type it, just have them reach out to the teacher, and I'm sure that they'll gladly work with them. Thank you.
Any other questions before we end? So the midterm grades will come out, I guess, about a week after all of this. Then teachers will be making recommendations for next year in terms of what courses they think their students will be eligible for. And we get started on planning for next year very quickly after that. So that's about all we've got at this point.
I'm just curious, so how does it work? Do they get one grade for math for the whole year, or do they get 2 grades?
They get 2 grades. It's semester. We're a semesterized school, so on the transcript will always be a semester 1 grade and a semester 2 grade. Right. Exam grades never show, though.
Is it just A or B, or is it A minus, B plus?
It's a number grade, so it'll be an 82 or a 91 or something like that. Yeah. The quarter grades are not seen, just the semester grades. Yes. Yes, the exam goes into semester 1, is included into that average for semester 1. Okay. Great. Well, thanks so much, everyone.